Today we're going to work on a solo arrangement of Levon as performed by Bon Jovi as originally written by Elton John. This is an awesome track, and thank you so much to Sue, a patron over at patreon.com, who actually endorsed this song and is the reason we're doing it here today. So thank you so much, Sue, and let's go ahead and dive right in. To start here, we're going to be playing on a low G ukulele. This arrangement is only really for the low G. You can try playing it with the high and it'll work okay, but it sounds really best with a low G. And to start off, it is a pretty tricky arrangement, so bear with me as we're going through some of these fingerings. A lot of bars that require quite a bit of practice, but as you're working through it, you'll notice that it gets easier every time you play it. So to start, we're going to start with an F chord, just our normal everyday F with our middle here on the second fret of the G, index on 1 of the E, strum through with our thumb, add our ring finger on 3 of the A, play that again, and then open A. Then we're going to take our pinky finger and we're going to stretch it all the way out to 5 on the A. And we're going to strum through that whole chord. So we have 2, 0, 1, 5. Play that 5 on the A again. One more time. Then the 1 on the E. So you see how I'm holding the chords through this to give it a really nice continued sustain. So that first measure is. Going in the next measure, just some nice strumming. We're going to be playing the same F chord and go down, down, up, down, up. So the next measure from here, we're going to need to take this and slide it up to a bar. We're going to take our index finger, bar it all the way across the 5th fret, add our middle finger here on the 6th fret of the E string, and our ring finger here to the 7th fret of the G. This creates a B flat chord. We're going to start by strumming our G, C, and E strings with our thumb, stopping on the A. Then we're going to play 5 on the C, add the pinky on 8, and play that twice. So this is what I was talking about with difficulty. This is a tricky bar chord all the way up here. So it's okay if you have your index finger only over the C, E, and A. That's one way that you can play it instead of the full bar. But you just want to make sure you're getting a good tone. So get right up against those fret wires to make sure that it sounds great. And after we play the 8 twice, we're then going to take our ring finger down, play it on 7 of the A, and our index finger should remain barred across 5 and play the 5. So that bar sounds like this. One more time there. So watch how the finger needs to stay barred. And the reason is the very next measure, we're going to play all the way through across 5 on an F chord. Kind of an F6, but 5, 5, 5, 5 all the way across. Then we're going to add our pinky on 8 of the E, and then play 5 on the E, which is there on the bar. Then we're going to add our ring finger here on 7 of the C. Then take everything off, play open A, and then an F chord. So that very last bar is. So that whole first stanza sounds something like this. Now as you're playing the song, you'll notice that if you go check out the Patreon page where the actual tab is available for download, you'll have the lyrics listed, and you can follow those along as you're practicing it. And if you're familiar with the original song, it's okay to trust sort of your instincts with those words and the timing of it. You don't have to put on a metronome and practice it perfectly because there's a little bit of, subjectiveness that you can take to it, some artistic license, so to speak. Let's go ahead and take a look at measure 4 through measure 7 here. So we're going to start with a C chord, and this is my favorite C chord on a low G. It's actually called a C5. So we're going to place our middle and ring fingers on the 3rd fret of the E and the A strings. Strum through that with a thumb twice. And we're going to play 3, 0, 3, 0, all on the A string. So that measure, nice and simple. Now this next measure, we're going to jump up to another tricky bar chord. This is a D minor. We take our index finger, bar across the 5th fret, and then we take our ring finger, place it on the 7th fret of the G, and our pinky here on 8 of the A. This is a difficult chord, and another example where the index can be barred all the way across, or if it's easier for you, you can bar just across the C, E, and A strings. I find that that's a little bit easier than stretching the finger all the way across. Make sure the ring finger's up here on 7 of the G, and the pinky up here on 8 of the A. And then we're going to take the pinky off, play 5 on the A, and then place the pinky back on and strum it with your thumb. Then take everything off, play open, and then 1. So that measure is. Going right into the next measure here, we're going to want to play an A minor chord with the 3 on the A string. So I actually like to use my middle finger here on 2 of the G and my ring finger here on 3 of the A, just because I just played the 0 and 1. It makes it a little bit easier to transition into there. Play the 3 on the A 2 more times, open A. Trickiness here, stretch the pinky out to 5 on the A while still maintaining the 2 of the G. If you find that this stretch is too hard with your middle to your pinky, you can flip your index finger over here to 2 of the G instead. We're going to play 3 on the A 3 more times. So measure 6 is something like this. Now we go to this cool little G minor chord. We're going to play our middle finger here on 3 of the G, index on 2 of the C, and ring here on 3 of the E, and strum through all 4 strings with the A string open. And play 3 on the E. And then switch to a normal G minor. And when you make this switch, notice how the ring finger does not move. The ring finger stays put. The middle finger is going to move down to 2 on the C, index all the way down to 1 on the A. Hold that for 2 beats. So that measure is. So that whole stanza now is. And this jump is tough. Going into the next part, measure 8. Bar all the way across 5, play the G, C, and E strings. Add the pinky on 8 of the E string. And then strum all the way through 5. Play the 5 on the A again 2 more times. And 5 on the C. So that measure 8 is. Going to measure 9, play the open A, taking the hand off. And strum an F chord. We're going to hold that, then we're going to do an up, down, up. So that measure is just. For measure 10, slide back up to that B flat, that tricky shape. Just the G, C, and E strings played. C string, and then add pinky on 8 of the A, play that twice. Then go down to 7 with the ring, just like we did before. The 5 on the A, still maintaining the bar, just like we did in the previous time we played this. So then we can play all the way through 5 for that measure 11. So 10 into 11 is. Now going right into 11, we add pinky on 8, and then up, down, up on our basic open F chord. So the entire stanza sounds something like this. Going right into measure 12 now. Add our ring finger, or our middle finger rather, to 3 on the E, and our ring finger on 3 of the A. Strum our G, C, and E strings. Then play the 3 on the A string 3 times. And then the chord all the way through again. So that measure is. Now we go up to that tricky D minor again. It's exactly the same as we've played it in the past. ring finger here on 7 of the G, bar across 5 on the on the C, E, and A strings. And we play the pinky on 8 of the A, and 5 on the A, strum through the whole thing. 0, then 1 on the A string. So that measure is. Go back to the A minor. So you notice I'm still using the middle and ring fingers there on 2 of the G and 3 of the A. Play the 3 on the A second time, 0 on the A, back to 3 on the A. And then there's a small change here. We're going to make our middle finger go down to the 2nd fret of the C string, add our index finger on 1 of the E, and add our pinky to 5 on the A, and strum through the C, E, and A strings. And then we're going to take our pinky off and play 3 on the A twice there. So we have. And now we go into measure 15 here, where we have that G minor chord that we played earlier. 3, 2, 3, 0, middle, index, ring on the G, C, and E strings. Play the 3 on the E. Switch to a normal G minor, again pivoting on that ring finger. So that whole stanza now looks something like this. And now at this point, it's going into the next section of the song, which is where it gets absolutely crazy and where it's quite a lot of fun to play as you build up speed. But to this point, you'll notice there are a lot of bar chords throughout this, and that's what this song's really going to challenge you for. So if you're struggling to get a good tone with it, it's important to, again, get right up to the fret wire. Another thing you might notice is that as you're playing it, it's getting worse, and that's because of fatigue. Like anything else, this actually requires quite a bit of muscles in your fretting hand, and so you might notice that your hand gets quite sore more quickly than some of the other songs that you've worked on, and that's because there's so many bars going on. So take some breaks, shake out the hand, and you'll find that you'll be building strength in no time. Let's go and look at the main part of the song here. So with this, we're going to be looking from the lyrics standpoint. Now we're at the he was born a pauper to a pawn on a Christmas day, all that cool stuff. And it's going to be quite fast to play. So to start this, we're going to take our index finger, excuse me, and we're going to go to 9 of the C string. We're going to play that. Then we're going to use our pinky on 12 of the C, and then our middle here on 10 of the E, then pinky on 12 of the E, and then middle here on 10 of the A. But when we do that 10 on the A, we want to bar across the E and the A strings on the 10th fret. Because the next thing there where it says the D minor chord, we're going to add our index finger here on 9 of the C and our pinky here on 12 of the A and strum through our C, E, and A. So this is why I said it's so difficult. This little run is quite tough, and it takes a lot of practice just to get just right. 9, 12, 10, 12, 10, strum through. And from here, it's going to go back down to 10 on the A, which you just hold these 2 fingers here in that little double bar, and it can make it much easier to play through. So we have, and you'll notice on the 13, 10, 12 at the end here, I use my pinky for all of it. So I play 13 with the 10, then 13 with the pinky on the E, and then 10 on the E is going to be just that bar, and then pinky is going to come back on for 12. So that might be the most difficult measure of the song. There are a couple difficult ones up here, but that should look something like this. Now let's go into the next measure. We're going to take that index finger, bar it all the way across 10. So we're way up there on the fretboard. Strum all the way through. Add 12 on the A with your ring finger, and the pinky is going to come here to 13 on the E string, then 10 on the E, which is in the bar, back up to 13 with the pinky. And then you're going to switch chords. And the way that we do this is that index finger is going to slide down to 8 on the E and the A strings. The middle finger is going to come here to 9 of the C, And the ring finger is going to come here to 10 on the A. We strum through the C, E, and A there. Go up to 12 with the pinky. And then 8 with the A should still be there with that bar. And then 10 on the E with the ring. So that whole measure is something like this. Moving right along to measure 18, take that index finger bar across the C, E, and A strings, leaving the G string open. Strum through all 4 strings. Come up to 12 with the ring finger on the A. Then the pinky is going to play 13 on the E, and then 10 on the E with the bar. Back up to 13 with the pinky. And then we're going to transition back down the same way we did just a moment ago. So the index finger is going to slide down to 8 on the E and the A strings, that little mini bar. Middle finger comes to 9 on the C, and then the ring finger comes to 10 on the A. Go back up to 12 with the pinky, and then play 8 on the A, which is built in with the bar. So measure 18 there looks something like. Now the last bar of this stanza, this is a doozy, we're going to go all the way through 10, barred across, and then 12 with the ring finger on the A, 13 with the pinky on E, 10 on the E, which is built in the bar. Move that bar down to just the E and the A on the 8th fret. Add the middle finger here on 9 of the C. Add the ring on 10 of the A. Then 12, 8, then 10 with the ring. So that last measure, measure 19, is. So now this whole stanza we're going to play through nice and slow, and what you'll notice is I'm always trying to predict where my fingers should go. And there's a lot of times where we're coming from a bar here, we're moving down to a shape like this. So you'll notice that the fingers try to move a little bit early just to make sure that we're there in time. So here we go from measure 16 all the way through, nice and slow. Now, as you're going through, you'll also notice there are a whole bunch of triplet markers that are written through, so those are going to be played faster. The best way you can get a feel for it is to listen to the song a bunch and listen to how the vocals are leaping across there and start to get a feel for it. And it's a lot of fun to play, and it's not important to play every single note every single time. When the song's being sang, there's a little bit of, what I call vocal gymnastics of the pitch going up and down. And it's okay to play this in a more pure way, and that just depends on how you hear that melody. So for instance, when I'm playing, the very beginning of "He was born a pauper to a pawn," you could perceive that melody a few different ways. It could be "He was born a pauper to a," and then pawn on, right? So what I'm doing there is I'm not playing all of the notes. I'm trying just a few of them to see if I can pick out those words, because normally there's a couple different notes per word. So when in doubt, just play it as it's written on the page, but feel free to have some artistic license as you're going through. So that's that whole stanza there of starting with 16. So now let's go ahead and look at measure 20, which gets a little bit easier. Excuse me. So we're going to play a G minor chord. Ring finger here on 7 of the C, middle finger here on 6 of the E, and index here on 5 of the A. Strum through our C, E, and A strings. We're going to go to this lovely shape, which is the same G minor we played earlier, the 3-2-3 with our middle, index, and ring fingers. But we're going to add our pinky on 3 of the A string. Strum all the way through. And then up, down, up. So that measure is. Then we go back to a G minor, strum all the way through, twice with the thumb. Then we're going to slide the pinky up to 5 on the A. And we're going to play 8 on the A with the pinky. So 5, 5, 8, 8. And then from here, we jump all the way up to 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 11. We're going to use our middle finger here on the 11th fret of the A string and just make sure that we're going to be playing that shape. Looks a lot like a D7, you might notice, only it's way up high, and that's going to create a B flat chord. In this case, B flat 7. 10, 10, 10, 11. We're going to strum through that. Then we're going to add 13 on the E string with our pinky. And then we're going to play 12 on the C with our ring. So you see how I can kind of hold that shape and play all these parts. And then 10 on the E, 13, 13, 10. So you see how it's just holding the shape and using the pinky and ring fingers to facilitate it. So that should sound like this. And then from here we slide that index finger down to 8 on the E and the A, middle finger here on 9 of the C. We're going to stretch the pinky out to 12 on the A. And this is my favorite little run in the song because we play through this, just the C, E, and A strings. We're immediately going to play the ring finger on 10. And we're going to do a pull off and then a hammer on back to that 10. So it goes, so. The way I'm doing that is just strumming all the way through, then immediately plucking 10, pulling off, and doing a hammer on back on. Then I'll play 8, so I take that finger back off, play 10, add it back on, 8, 8 on the A string twice, followed by 10 on the E. So that measure sounds like this. So that whole stanza now, we start with the G minor, go all the way down. Now going right into the next part here, measure 24, bar all the way across measure 10, make that same little B flat. Now this part's kind of fun because you're going to play through, add 13 on the pinky, and then you play 12, 10, 13, 10, 13, 10. So 12 on the C, then 10 on the E, 13 on the E, 10 on the E, 13 on the E, 10 on the E. So it sounds like. And then it goes to measure 25 where we play that same chord that we've been doing, the index finger going down a little bit to E and the A strings, middle finger coming to 9 on the C. But we're going to add our pinky on fret 11 on the A, which sounds funky. It's giving that minor third and major third sound at the same time. Kind of sounds like a Jimi Hendrix chord, right? But that's what's needed because it's going to go this to 10 to 8 to 10, all on the A string. And then we play 8 on the E, which is already there with the index, 10 on the E with the ring. So that measure is. Oh, sorry. Make sure that very last note is 10 on the E with that ring finger there. So one more time there. So we have. Go back to that B flat. And that measure is very similar to what we've been playing. So we hold that chord shape, add the 13 on the E, 12 on the C, 10 on the E, 13, 13 on the E twice, 10 on the E. So that measure is. And that, sorry. And then going into 27, we're going to have that middle finger on 9 of the C, index here on 8 of the E, and pinky out to 12 on the A. And that's that same little riff that we did earlier, which is play all the way through, then ring finger on 10 of the E, play immediately, pull off, hammer back on. Right? And we just strum the C, E, and A after we take these two fingers off. So it's just 9 on the C with the middle, cross 8 on the E and the A, strum through. So now this whole stanza looks something like this. 11. Now the very last stanza of the song here, we're going to start with a bar across 10, add 13 with our pinky on the A string, strum all the way through, and 12 on the A, and 13 on the E, so the pinky coming over there. Do that twice, then 10 on the E, which is there in the bar, 12 on the C. So that measure is. And then going into 29, 29 and 30 are the same thing, except for the very end. So looking at 29, we're going to take our index and play 8 on the E string, strum our G, C, and E strings. Right? And after we do that, we're then going to slide down to 0, 0, 3, 3, the same little C chord that we played earlier in the song, and do down, up, down, up, down. And then from here, it goes back to the beginning of the song. Right? So that measure there sounds something like this. And we can start back. But if we want to end the song here, or we've already done the repeat, we look to the next measure. And you'll notice on this next measure, it's the same thing. It comes into that C chord, up, down, up, and then it goes to 5, 5, 5, 8 for an F chord to wrap it all up. So at the end, it looks something like this. Up, down, down on that F. And that'll give us sort of the finale of the song. So that whole stanza now, I'm going to play it with the second ending so that we can hear it as it's ending. Now that's a doozy. This is by far the most difficult arrangement that we've done here on the channel. Again, thanks to Sue for suggesting it and for the patience with me creating it. Took a little bit of time. Probably noticed me even making little mistakes as I'm working on it because it is a very difficult song, but a lot of fun to play. So if you're working on it and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed at any point, just keep in mind that you can work on it in sections as you're going through. That's what I would do. You know, focus just a few measures at a time. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And if you want your very own custom arrangement, please check out my Patreon page. All of the information's in the description below. We vote on different songs every month and have all sorts of cool stuff. So check it out if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next month for another song tutorial. It's right now it's the end of 2018, and so I've had an awesome 2018, and the Patreon has just been awesome this year. Looking forward to next year too. Let's make 2019 even better. So thanks again. Have a wonderful end of your guys' year, and I'll talk to you soon.